Well, welcome back. If you're just joining, this is the newspaper review segment of Daybreak. And as is customary, I have a copy of the Daily Trust with me. Interesting story on the front page of the Daily Trust. Lead story, of course, and other stories. Let's start with the lead. Nigerians paid 1.04 billion naira ransom to kidnappers in 1 year. This is according to a report. It says 1,056 killed, 7,568 abducted in 1,130 incidents. Credible intelligence lacking. This is according to a former Assistant Inspector General of Police. Ex-DSS boss wants emergency declared on security. Also, troops neutralized 1,166 terrorists in 29 days. That's according to the DHQ. Other stories on the front page of the Daily Trust says, I returned $10,000 to please Allah, according to an airport worker. That story, you can catch that on page 9. Also, police interrogation, labor movement worth dying for. This were the statements of Comrade Joe Ajaero, president of the Nigeria Labour Congress. Another one says, strike, FG slams no work, no pay policy on resident doctors. They have embarked on this strike to, among other things, clamor for the release of some of their colleagues who are currently in the den of abductors in different parts of the country. The Belt says CBN report warns of rising financial strain for citizens. Page 4 has the story. Top of the page, crash food prices in 1 month. Federal government tells traders. Also, students seek review of FG's 18-year admission eligibility. And finally, on the Daily Trust, Zamfara residents kill 37 bandits. Interesting story there. Page 6 has that report. We now go to the Guardian. Story there says, living in Abuja, the making of a capital city of gross inequality, rags, riches. We see a pictorial there. Also, another one says, federal government gives traders 1 month to crash prices of goods. Government increases suburb matching grants to 3.5 billion. Ajaero vows to fight on, says police invitation mere distraction to labor struggles. Foreign inflow down by 57.22% as investors appraise portfolio. Also, Afe Babalola cautions against 18 years limit for WAEC and NECO. Over 55,910 civilians killed in Nigeria in 4 years, says report. Also, doctors strike. Federal government threatens to invoke no work, no pay rule. And we go to Friday Leadership, where it says alleged terrorism financing. Labour talks tough after Ajaero's visit to police. Say we won't be intimidated. External pressure behind my travail, according to the NLC president. We see top of the page says Nigeria accepts crypto, grants to operators interim approvals. Also, $1 million fraud. EFCC arrests syndicate impersonating Olu Koyode. That's the EFCC chairman. Also, Sharia Commission invites cleric over gay meeting. That's below the pictorial. And 1,166 terrorists killed, 721 hostages rescued in August. That's according to the DHQ. We now have Tribune, which says federal government gives traders 1 month to crash prices. FCCPC meets stakeholders, explain why 30 days moratorium was given. Cites law empowering it to act. Decries prohibitive prices of goods in supermarkets. Stakeholders blame insecurity, multiple taxation, high cost of transportation for high prices. We see reps petition Canadian over envoy over genocide citing statements. Also, LG autonomy. NBA names committee to monitor 774 councils. And these are some of the stories on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. And of course, we'll now go on a quick commercial break. And when we return, it will be time to review the papers with our reviewer in the studio. Welcome back. It's still Daybreak on Trust Television, and I now have joining me in the studio Nurudeen Abdallah, the editor at the 21st Century Chronicle. Editor, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Sagan.
Yes, so I think we should start with the lead story here. It says Nigerians paid 1.04 billion naira ransom to kidnappers in 1 year, according to a report. This is the lead story on the Daily Trust. Perhaps I should just read a couple of paragraphs. It says Nigerians paid 1.048 billion as ransom to kidnappers between July 2023 and June 2024, a report has shown. The report released by the SBM Intelligence showed that 7,568 people were kidnapped across the country within the period. And now SBM Intelligence is an Africa-focused market security intel gathering consulting firm. So 1,056 killed, 7,568 abducted in 1 year, with 1 billion naira paid in ransom. How do you react to this story?
Actually, it's unfortunate, even though this is not the first time that the SBM is releasing such reports. I think it's an annual thing. But if you read the report, they mention that it is not the negotiating skills of the families of the kidnapped victims that matters, but rather the economic power. I think deep inside the report, they said the federal capital, Abuja, Kaduna, Lagos, paid the highest ransom. So if you look at the economic map, you're talking about Abuja, Lagos. There may be the neighboring Kaduna. Even though the incidents were recorded, the higher number of incidents, let's say in Zamfara and Kaduna, but the amount of ransom was not that much. And all this points to one issue. You remember what happened, the outrage elicited by the kidnap and subsequent murder of the monarch in Sokoto after about almost 2 months in captivity.
They did.
These people are still using technology to demand for ransom, to negotiate for ransom. So we don't know what is taking the security agencies.
So it's a good thing you mentioned this, editor, because I mean, just in January we had the former Minister of Communications, Alisa Pantami, complain about the non-utilization of the NIN SIM linkage to track activities of bandits and criminals. Just earlier today, during our Daybreak Interactive segment, we had Nigerians also call into the program, some of whom complained that it's been difficult linking their NIN with their SIM card. But then back to the conversation of the former minister, do you think that the security agencies in Nigeria have done enough in terms of ensuring tracking? I mean, he has mentioned time and time again that this technology is available, so why not use it?
I mean, for the former minister to say that, is really news to us, because he didn't say that when he was in government. And unfortunately enough, the former minister, was it last year or late last year or the year before, he facilitated the payment of about 50 million naira ransom to some kidnappers of those young girls, I think around the Buhari general area. What he said, just brought to the fore the systemic rot in the Nigerian governance system. When Mr. Pantami was busy talking about NIN, SIM, linkage, and what have you, it means that the security agencies were not
carried along. Brought on board.
It's a security matter. Just one ministry cannot just dictate to them. I remember we had something with the NICOMSAT at the time. They said that there was no, I was wondering, I said, why is NICOMSAT under Ministry of Science? I asked the DG at that time, I said, what is their collaboration with the security? He said, almost zero collaboration. meaning that square pegs are not put on square holes. You understand? And maybe that explains it at the same time. Before the NSAS protests, that transformed into violence, the police were in charge of this tracking. I remember if you lost your phone, you can go to the police, pay some money, and they can track it. But after the NSAS issue, I think that issue has been...
It became difficult.
Yeah, it's removed, I think, from the police in general. I think maybe in rare occasion. It became strictly a Department of State Services issue. So it's something that the security agencies can do. They need to harmonize. If these tracking devices are available and they are efficient, okay. When we didn't know that Nigeria had these drone issues until that accident in Tudunbiri, where the drone mistakenly killed some worshippers.
Of course, before then, not many Nigerians knew that the Nigerian military had UAVs.
We have reconnaissance drone. They can take images. They should have analysts that can review and analyze the images. And they have this attack drone.
Does the fact that we possess all of this technology, sophisticated technology that I must add, doesn't it, speak more to these systemic problems that you're talking about? And, isn't this sort of an indictment on the part of the security agents? I mean, kudos to them, of course. We know they've, recovered in terms of feat. They've been doing excellently. But then we still have these issues. We still have these breaches. Niger State. What's going on in Shiroro? We have Zamfara. We have Katsina. It goes on and on and on.
So I think, again, something needs to be done, particularly at the top. You remember at the beginning of the Buhari's administration, at the peak of the Boko Haram, we have this rivalry between even the service agents. The army is one to take credit, the Air Force, and
the lack of interagency collaboration.
So I think what the former minister is saying, has a lot to do with this. Now, given 3 billion each to all the states affected. So it becomes just like a budget. Yeah, we know there will be floods, there will be displacement, there will be loss of crops, loss of lives, loss of animals.
I mean, we saw the
federal government will
of the Nigerian security increased by over 100%.
It's a recurring this month. Nobody takes damage seriously. The government at all levels, particularly
except the Nigerian aviation industry, of course, except the Nigerian aviation industry.
Yeah, because there is consequence.
Of course. Of course.
There is consequence, you understand?
Indeed.
But the state and the local government, you know.
Okay, so now why Nigerians contend with all of this? The federal government, through the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, is giving a 1-month moratorium to Nigerian traders and businessmen to regulate the price of commodities. I see you are smiling because I wanted to ask, what is the implication and the possibility of achieving this?
I don't know what happened to Mr. Tunji Bello. I think he's the head of the
FCCPC.
Yes. Actually, when I read the story, it was yesterday. I didn't read the law of the agency where they got that mandate. He gave an example that's very clear and self-explanatory. He cited the example of one, I think, this fruit extractive
blender
stuff,
or something like that.
And he said that was it in New York? Texas?
It was $89.
He wasn't talking about Lagos and Abuja or Lagos and Sokoto. You were talking about Texas. Was it $89? And now it is being and he didn't mention Abuja or Kano or Kaduna. He mentioned
supermarket,
is it in Lekki or Banana Island? So you understand, and do the additional and subtractions. Somebody has to take that thing from Texas down to Lagos,
to the island.
That thing you must pay custom duty or excise duty and all manner of the exchange rate and the profit margin. So I don't know how they are going to realize this.
Well, let's not say you're criticizing the FCCPC, of course. I believe that's not what you're doing now. Okay, but then let's now talk about other issues in terms of the price of other commodities in the market, which we have seen increase, and all of a sudden the FCCPC wanting to clamp down and give a moratorium because of a fruit juice maker.
Okay, let's take rice or yam. Exactly. From neighboring Niger states to Abuja here. Before now, how much was the transportation fare? From say Laipiagi or even Bida, for instance, to Abuja. The price has doubled. Look at even the other factors, even at that locality. All the implement they use, even at the local level, at the village level, has tripled. All these need to be factored into the price of that commodity. What I'm saying is this: the best way to crash the prices of particularly this consumable food in particular is to flood the market with it. Let the demand and supply
determines
the price. If Tinubu decide, okay, you can pick 5 or 10 major commodity importers, give them mandate. I want so number of rice to be flooded into the market. You can waive this thing instead of making it open. Before you know it, the bag of rice, local rice, that sells now between 82 to 86,000 can come back to, let's say, 50. The imported rice is about 96, 97 in the far north. I don't know, Lagos and southeast or south. So I think that's how it should be. Flood the market of the commodity. But what the FCCC is saying, I don't know where they. Maybe they have the commodity. They are writing to the commodity board.
Let's now tell Mr. Nurudeen, editor, here to turn off his mic, as it was said before at the National Assembly. I mean, it's always a lovely conversation with editor in the studio who would wear multiple caps at multiple locations. Talk about a security analyst, talk about an economist, a public affairs commentator, and all of them wrapped into one. It's always an exciting conversation whenever editor is here reviewing the papers with me. But then that's the much we can take on the program. I hope you've enjoyed every segment of it, starting from 8 a.m. up until this point. If you've missed any segments, do want to follow us across all of our social platforms, and also catch our live stream on YouTube to get more on news programs and documentaries. That's it for me. Thank God it's Friday. Have a lovely weekend. My name is Sagir Ibrahim, and up next is 360 Sports with Emmanuel Fashimi. Stand by.